Welcome to the Authentic Human Podcast. I'm your host, Michelle Vickers. Similar to how military and special ops use remote viewing to access secret information, I communicate directly with universal beings to better understand creation, existence, and evolution. For the past 20 years, I've worked with thousands of people around the world, helping them gain access to the highest level information possible so they can achieve their ultimate goals. Right now, I've partnered with the creator and some of the most influential beings in existence to bring you the story of creation. My goal is to create a world where you remember who you are and why you exist. Welcome back to the Authentic Human Podcast. Today is part 20 of the story of creation, and I'm so excited. For those who don't know, this is completely a live recording, and we are doing it live in front of our private audience, our private community. And we were just having this amazing discussion based on part 19 of the story of creation. And the conversation, has gone into a lot of aspects about existence itself, and specifically, the differences between, or with the differences and similarities between the pyramids and locations like Stonehenge and different. There's so many across the planet, so many locations that are ancient. They're ancient. Structures isn't the right word. They're ancient creations, okay? And so what we jumped in before we were even officially recording, which was awesome. So I'm just going to backtrack, give you a little bit of a backup to what we were talking about, because it was so fascinating, and the awarenesses that were coming through direct from the angelics, from the creator himself, just so you're on the same page with where we are already. And then we're going to jump forward into more information for today. So, the really fascinating thing is understanding that all of these structures, okay? So any ancient structure it's like a pathway or a gateway, but not how we've come to terms with pathways and gateways, where it's like, oh, I need to go there to have this, coming to God moment, or, have this higher experience. That's not what they were creating. Okay. There was about 300 to 400 beings, so soul beings, angels, human souls, that participated in the building of the pyramids. There was just that many. And so, it took some time to recognize, like, as souls, right? We are here to explore our potential, which means we're consistently doing things that have never been done before. We have no idea. We're just curious, and we do things based on our curiosity. So we are now in a creative state. And so ultimately, what occurred is specific to the pyramids. We're going to go there first. Is the intention was, and this is in part 13, I think we talked about it, but it was recognized that early on. Okay, so this was, again, when it started in the core of the earth, right? The pyramids were created to. They're satellites. They're satellites to bring universal energy into a physical representation, which for us is the earth that we live on. And then as the earth evolved, right? And as the experience of the earth evolved, then there were a group of beings. And I'm not going to get too deep into that yet. We will. It's all coming. But the reality is, this particular group of beings, yes, they are from this universe. So they're not ETs, they're angelics. Some are angelics. And again, it's really, in order to understand creation, it's really letting go of how your mind sees all of these things, right? Because we've been inundated with the understanding that angels look like humans with wings, right? This is the visual that we've been given. We've been given so many, right? It's the same as how the pyramids were built, right? By thousands of men using muscle. So it's understanding that everything I'm sharing is challenging every single one of your beliefs. I get it. I know it's uncomfortable. And honestly, after 20 plus years of doing this, I'm more comfortable in the not knowing and the recognition of not knowing, which allows me to learn more effectively, maybe if and quicker, right? So I can, because I'm more open. But if you're just joining us for the first time, and this is a concept where you're like, wow, you're crazy, there is no way. I want you to just feel. Okay. I want you to allow the information to come in and just turn your mind off, because your mind is full of all the beliefs that limit the opportunity for you to expand your awareness. Okay. I mean, we've been strategically programmed to, it's like an automatic delete if you have that on your computer, right? It's an automatic remove this process or remove this thought. We've been taught to automatically disbelieve anything that is different than what we've been told. The problem with that approach is everything we've been told doesn't actually make sense. The pieces don't fit together. And when we question it, we become uncomfortable. We get told all kinds of things. But more importantly, we become filled with anxiety, depression, all kinds of things that they're not normal. Those are not normal reactions, okay? And it's really important to understand that is when you're asking the right questions, but you're not getting the right answers because the answers are making you feel like you're depressed or you have anxiety or fear or anything, then that's letting you know you're not looking in the right place for your answers, okay? It's also really important to recognize that if you have anger and frustration, that is fear, okay? And fear is a reaction we have when the foundation of our world, in whatever capacity that is being challenged, okay? And so our fear comes up because we want to protect what we've created, right? This is why it's so challenging to accept new concepts as potential truth, okay? So what these, originally it was a handful of angelics, not even, they're showing me like three, and then there was four at some points, but that created the foundational pyramids within the core of the earth. And then as it grew, like the planet itself, and as it evolved. So there's a lot of hidden pyramid structures that are dispersed throughout the planet. So throughout is being very specific as it's in the core and the crust of the earth. Okay. So these are hidden. They're not common knowledge. They have never been seen with the human eye. They would never be seen with ground penetrating radar because they're too deep into the core of the earth. It would never have science would never have the ability to pick those up. You would, because you have a satellite and a programming of a vibration where you can align yourself with the vibration of those pyramids and actually travel into the core of the earth and experience them. So when I say experience, you're not just going to visually see them and see how they're created. You actually will feel the vibration and the essence of the reason they were created and their purpose for existence. This is really important, okay? So, and this is what we were talking about in part 19, is understanding that we can have those experiences simply by putting your attention on something. You can't do that with your mind. Okay. This is not like going on a, what do they call those? Like meditation, right? You can't do this through meditation. You have to allow the energy to lead you and guide you. Okay. There's a fundamental difference between a soul journey and a meditation, right? A meditation is something you do with your mind to calm and relax your mind. And a soul journey is something you do through the vibration of your soul and through the energy. And you're allowing the frequency and vibration of your own energy to open up and connect with the frequency and vibrations of different beings and experiences, right? That's how I communicate with universal beings. It's how we were all programmed to. It's also how I explore the universe. I go into an actual aspect of creation itself and understand it from inside of it. I don't want to understand it from someone else's mind. That's really important. Okay. So that's also why I highly encourage you to feel every single thing that I am sharing, because your experience in the energy of it is going to be 10 times, 100 times more powerful than the words I'm using to explain it. Okay. That's why a lot of the time you're like, yeah, okay, Michelle, I get it, but man, do I feel it. And it's like, yes. Right. And that's where we get our confirmation. It's like, I kind of already knew all this. And now I really know that I knew it, right? It's this confirmation of, okay, yes, that makes sense. Okay. So so we go back to Atlantean times. And so, okay, so this is humanity's fifth iteration of existence. Okay, on the planet. We've tried a number of times to explore different experiences. Remember, we're explorers. That's all we do. Do different new things every single day, every single life. That's our purpose. Okay. And so we're used to change. We're used to consistent evolution because we actually participate in it, right? Evolution means it has to be new all the time. And so it's funny actually, as I'm feeling this is what those who have chosen to manipulate humanity, who are basically on their way out, as long as we keep going in the right direction, this is their greatest fear, is that we are going to remember that we're actually explorers of vibration and energy and light. Why? Because the moment we remember is the exact same moment they can't control us. So right now, right, for example, it's like humans are like little ants and we're running around following all these political dramas. Okay. So just as an example, so we're following all of them, and it's all of a sudden this guy says this and we all like run over here. And then someone else says something else and all these little ants run over here. And then the moment you understand that you are a creator, okay? I'm not talking about, and here's the other thing, is recognizing that your idea of a creator, what does that look like? Chances are right now, it looks like a content creator on the internet, an influencer, someone famous, right? That's how your brain has decided a creator is. Maybe it's an artist, but it is something tangible, and it's attached to consumerism, guaranteed. And so your idea of a creator can never expand into the universal perspective because you've blocked it. The moment you have those limits, it doesn't have any opportunity to expand or grow. So ultimately, their greatest fear is that you remember that you are a creator. Why? Because the moment you remember, everything becomes possible for you again. And when a whole bunch of us, when I say a whole bunch, like if we have 50,000 humans remember this at one time, we will transcend the human condition. And what I mean by the human condition, okay, is the pain and suffering that has been caused as a result of us not knowing who we are. That's the root of all evil on this planet is literally not knowing who we are. Because every concept of what we believe and what we think are tied into consumerism. Okay. So let's just think even right now how you view your soul and how you view, your own existence. Okay. Is when you feel your soul energy, most people are like, well, what does it look like? And what does it look like? Right. And the number one question I get is, what's my soul's name? It's my soul's name, because they want a label. That's consumerism. Okay. It's really important. It's, what are my guides? Who are my guides? My guides are different than your guides. No, we all have universal guides and awarenesses. There are some that work with us in particular, but most, when you work with universal energy, are universal beings, and they're working with a whole bunch of other universal beings all at the same time. Why? Because that's what you do when you're in a state of consciousness. There is no limit. There literally is no limit. Yes, you could work with 8 billion people at the same time. And it's also important to remember that of those 8 billion people, that's only 2% of the actual human souls in existence. Like, that's how many souls are in existence that ensure this universe has everything it needs to thrive. And guess what? You have access to every single aspect of it. That's how cool you are. That's how amazing you are. You just have to remember how to access it. And it's all through vibration and frequency and energy, right? Vibration and frequency are basically the nuances of the energy. And there's 3 different main energies that exist, right? In this universe, there's physical, soul, and universal. And when you understand the differences, it's the secret of resurrecting your ability to understand who you are. I am actually going to share that in my Reclaim Masterclass, too many words for my brain. And that is coming soon. So you can get that. You can sign up for that on my website. It's actually free. And it's michellevickers.com. But I want to go back now into the conversation that we were talking about. And the question that came up before we went live was, is Stonehenge built in the same way that the pyramids were? And, that question is massive, but it's understanding, okay, that in part 19, we talked about the physical movement of how the pyramids were built, but we didn't talk about why. And this is important, right? We talked about the why in the sense of the ones under the ground, right? And that they are conductors of energy, okay? But it's important to understand that vibrationally, it's not like a power plant in the sense of, again, if you were driving by a physical power plant in this world, whether it's run by water or electricity or whatever it is, there's a lot of stuff that comes along with that we need to use to contain, right? Again, that's that physical consumerism, right? We have to contain it. We have to put it in somewhere and trap it so we can own it, right? That is not how and why the pyramids were built. What's underneath the pyramids, this is also very interesting, is not power plants. It's actually cities where universal beings existed. Now, it's going to stretch the brain again, okay? But in the last 50,000 years, this is the 5th iteration of human existence, okay? And This one was doing well. And then the beings who came in, who were choosing to manipulate, okay, it's really interesting because these are the beings that ultimately are not want to are had and have ultimately formed a one world government. So there really is, this is all going on already. It's no surprise. It's not shocking for anyone who's had bigger questions and have been doing the searching. It is all there. And so they started this 50,000 years ago. Like, this is way before anything has been recorded in the history books, if you will. And it's why the history books were created. It's because if you don't believe you have access to the information, you can only get it from books, right? Again, you forget who you are. So you don't even know your own story. And that's strategically done. They wanted to make sure that humanity's roots were hidden and the truth was hidden. And so what happened is the pyramids themselves are located in areas where certain energy, it's like a bisection. So it's like a cross of energy, but not just two, it's like millions and millions come to certain points. Now, I know a lot are, it's not so much based on stars and constellations, okay? Stars and constellations move as a result of the vibrations and frequencies of each aspect of conscious existence. Again, you're going to have to let your brain expand a little bit here. Okay. And it's understanding that when certain energies bisect, they create different experiences. Okay. We don't need math to figure this out. Again, they didn't sit down with a calculator and go, okay, in 20,000 years, this energy is going to cross this energy, is going to cross this energy, and we're going to put something there so it happens. Doesn't work that way. You don't actually have to figure anything out. This is how cool this universe is. It's understanding that the intention, the moment you have an intention of, what about if this energy, and this energy, and then all these other thousands of energies come together in a particular aspect of existence, because it's outside time and space, right? So it's not at a certain time or date. If it comes together, what's the experience going to be? And then you can actually explore that, okay, to understand the vibrational experience that is going to be created. You can explore that without even going into 50,000 years in the future, okay? And so I know this is a lot. I know this is a lot for your brain to go, oh my gosh, where's the scientific proof? This is beyond what science is ready yet to understand, because it doesn't have proof in the sense of the limited perspective. Okay. It's understanding that the proof is in the vibration itself. The proof is in your experience, but you have to be willing to look at life and existence through the lens of energy, frequency, and vibration. Because when you do, you see the nuances and you see all of the creations and possibilities for what they are. So ultimately, when these creations, okay, again, creations is not a physical concept here. It's a vibrational and it's energy based. And so what was intended, so humanity started to be manipulated. And there were very few, like this is less than 100. It started with 200. It's less than 100 now. And this is 50,000 years later. So this is really important to understand. There was these souls that understood that humanity was choosing to participate in going down this exploration of being manipulated and controlled. We chose it and we chose to participate. This is really important, okay? No one can manipulate you unless you choose to participate. It's that simple. It's a free will universe, yes, but it's also that simple to this day, okay? And so what occurred was these souls, some of humans, knew that we would need a backup plan. And what I mean by a backup plan is we'd need reinforcements should we get so thick in the manipulation that it would be hard to remember. Okay? Let me remind you of the fact that this is the fifth iteration of human existence. What does that even mean? That means that the 4 times before, it went so crazy off the rails that it was ended and restarted. Just feel that, okay? And then you're going to understand, oh, that's why they needed a backup plan. Right. Okay. Because the backup plan ensures that if it goes off the rails, we don't have to end it and start again. We get to restore full awareness in this world at the time of the manipulation. And that's what we're in now, right? That's what every person who's here on the planet is working towards this. Whether you are consciously working towards it or not at this point, doesn't really matter, right? Like 2025, we're meant to go from less than 20% of awareness to 70. That's massive numbers for humanity to move through, which is why there's so much trauma and drama going on all over the place, okay? And it's just challenges in our relationships with everything and everyone. But the reality is there was less than 200 beings originally, humans, and then they decided that they would construct the pyramids to align in specific locations that aligned with specific aspects of human existence. This is really important, okay? Your human existence isn't just about your physical self in this world. It's about your full history all the way back to the creation of your soul. And then it goes even further back to the creation of the universe itself, because you have to understand that to understand why you were, as a soul, were created, right? All of these things. Like when we sit there and we go, who are we? Was it a Big Bang theory? Was it, Adam and Eve? Do either of those really make sense? No, they can't make sense because they don't follow an active concept of creation and evolution. That neither of them do. It's really interesting. So yeah. And humans were definitely never apes. We have always been a higher race. And what I mean by higher is full consciousness. This is how and why the pyramids themselves were created. And so in Egypt in particular, and I was taken through them, gosh, maybe back in, I want to say 2011, but it may have even been earlier. Anyways, and they showed me that underneath the pyramids, they built a city and cities, if you will. And each of these cities holds one conscious aspect of human existence. This is really important. There are 24, and each city has different beings, like humans, that are still living in them. I know your brain is like, what? How is that even possible? Again, when you are in full consciousness, you exist in a fundamentally different way than consumerism. It's not even It's not even close to the same thing. And so these beings have been there holding the secrets of human existence for 50,000 years. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, do not sit there and go, how do I get to the city underneath the pyramids in Egypt, right? That's again a consumerism perspective. Oh, I want to go there. How can you prove it? I mean, they showed me even how to get in to the cities underneath. But you can't just get in if you want to get in. This is really important because want is a consumerism approach. It is desire. It is the need to capture something and make it yours, right? It's the same thing. It's why people want information so that they can have information over other people, typically to cause harm or to create, not necessarily harm in others, but you want to create, more publicity or more awareness of yourself, right? So you're leveraging all of these things. If your intention is to leverage what could potentially be under the pyramids, you will never get in. Never. You won't be able to permeate the vibrational energies that will get you to the source of what's actually going on. So it's really fascinating to me right now where people are like, oh, start digging and let's see what's underneath them, right? Because there's a lot of research about pyramids right now, that is hitting the mainstream. And it's fascinating how many people are like, just dig. You will never, it doesn't matter how many excavators, the biggest, the bestest, the fastest, if your goal is to seek and destroy, that is what digging will do. If your goal is to retrieve the awareness, your job is to look inside yourself. Your ability to travel inside those cities is inside of you. We all have it. I walk people through those experiences on a regular basis in our private community. It's the foundation of recognition that your existence as a human being is so much more dynamic, and all the information that you want is at your fingertips, but you can't access it until you stop wanting it, until you get to that place where you understand how it all fits into existence and you understand the balance of knowing. Because when you understand the balance of knowing, everything is yours. But if you're still in a state of desire and want, your intention isn't pure. If you want help with the awareness of purity itself, I highly, highly recommend, again, it is my book. I wrote it with the universal beings, but it is about the 9 fundamental energies that you as a soul were created with. And purity is one of them. It's so vital to your experience. And so these are the aspects of your soul. Okay, so there's 9 fundamental energies of your soul, and then there's 24 as aspects of human existence. Okay, and so it was really interesting because I remember at the time when I first got them, and I sat down with a couple friends, just a couple, and we were going through them. And it was really interesting to hear their perspectives, because their perspectives were very much physical and consumerism based. Not because they were narrow-minded, but because they didn't have the ability, they didn't trust the instincts, and they didn't have the ability to understand the nuances of the frequency and the vibration of the energy that was in the messages. So if anybody else picked them up, they would just flip right through them as pages. They would be like, that's nothing, whatever, it's just another. But it is not. They are literally the secrets to the universe. I actually shared a bunch of them when I did a masterclass a while ago. I don't remember what it was called, but it was for my origin training program. Because those are people who, in my origin training, they're people who want to genuinely restore their full awareness of human existence, which is basically the foundation of what we've been talking about today. So these humans they're all in. When I say they're all in, I mean their goal in this life is to fully restore not only their abilities that they were created with, but they want to actually participate in the evolution of human existence. And so they're consistently fulfilling their purpose, and they're participating in fulfilling it all the time. And when you understand that your purpose isn't one job title, right? Again, consumerism. When you understand that your purpose is an evolution in itself, and it will consistently evolve as you reach the pinnacle of it every single time. And that's why even, the work that I've been doing has changed significantly over the last 20 plus years that I've been doing it. Why? Because I continuously reach the purpose, and then I'm like, oh, there's more. Let's do more. Oh, there's more. Because that's exploring our potential. That's what it looks like, right? It's not a single job title. So this is where this is so fundamentally different than me being an entrepreneur who is like, this is my goal. I want this, and I'm going to keep working and working and working and working at it, right? And it's understanding that I am working at it, but mine is going to constantly evolve. It isn't going to look like, let me do the same thing over and over and over again to increase revenue. That's not my goal. My goal is actually to increase human awareness of self and to help you remember the truth of who you are. And so let's go back to the original question. Was Stonehenge created the same way as the pyramids? Physically, in the actual moving of, the matter. So in both cases, stone, but completely different types of stone, completely different methods of extraction from the earth and momentum to move it. Again, wasn't brute force. It is all through energy, all of it, right? Even precision cuts, they're all made through energy. And energy, right? So the secret of the universe is intention becomes energy, becomes experience. And when you really allow yourself to get that, then all of these things begin to become possible. Okay. So they were created with that same method, different intentions, different purposes, because every creation that is on the planet is from before 50,000 years ago. Okay. So 50,000 years and before, all of those structures were built with the intention to experience, explore, and really just experience and explore universal energy and experiences. This is really important, okay? None of them were to harness energy. Okay? This is really important. Why? Because you didn't need or want for anything. You were consistently creating new experiences, but you did not need or want. So if you didn't need or want for anything, you would never need to harness, take, or, right? This is the consumerism. And it's really important to understand that that concept didn't exist because you didn't need or want for anything. Okay. And so experiences were created based on the potential for the experience to unfold, no matter when that was going to be, which is why they created entire cities under pyramids to hold the sacred awareness. And I say sacred. What I mean by sacred is the pure, unadulterated, unchanged history of existence as humans. It's all there. But you're not going to open it up and find someone who's going to sit there and tell you all the words. It's not going to be on books. It's not going to be on stones carved in. They're holding it in their frequency and vibration. Those beings, that's their job, to hold that one aspect of conscious existence. And all you have to do is allow yourself to retrieve them. You can't want them. You can't hunt them down and seek them out. If it is meant to be your information, you will access it if you ask. But the thing is if you're asking so you can leverage it to make money or to harm someone or to, be better than someone else, if you have any aspect of competitiveness in you or competition, whatever it is, it won't come to you. It just won't. The awareness of where it is and how it exists, it won't come because your intention isn't pure, which goes back to the concepts in Believe. And Believe talks about it as well. So right now, your intention and is really about purity. It's really about partnering with an energy and vibration that can bring you back to your roots so that you can start to access truth again. I'm not talking like this is not the truth we talk about here is, the whole truth and nothing but the truth, all that garbage. That's just a whole bunch of people's opinions. Okay. What I'm talking about is universal truth. It is a vibration of existence that you have access to, and every single thing that has ever occurred in existence is recorded and stored in the vibration of truth. It's not like a safe, right? It's not a physical place where you have to go. Again, they don't store it in a pyramid. It's not how it works. Okay? You don't have to go to a pyramid in physical world, right? Again, this is how we've trampled. The way they're showing me is we've trampled the earth in search of owning as much as we can. And it's part of what's broken our souls. It's part in that, and what I mean by it's broken our souls, it's broken us, it's broken our inspiration, it's broken our confidence and our comfort, because that's not who we are. We are not at the core of who we are consumerist beings. We are based in truth and love and respect and compassion, purity, joy, movement, balance, and illumination. We are not based on pity, judgment, competition. When you're exploring your potential, just think for a minute. When you're exploring something, right, in this world, we've been taught, don't tell anybody, don't share it with anybody, because you'll give your energy away, or someone else will take it, or they'll get to it before you, right? Again, it's all competition. Someone else is going to beat you to it. Listen, as universal beings, no one is exploring the same thing. They're similar and they'll have different aspects that will overlap. That is the time where we work together, but we don't work together to the same goal. We work together in the sense of, oh my gosh, what I'm doing and what you're doing, they enhance each other. How cool is that? That's how it works. Not, oh my gosh, I don't want to share it, or you're taking my life away, or you're taking my whatever away, my opportunities. If they're your opportunities, they will always be yours. 100%. Your job is to align with the truth so you can actually access that awareness. So the goal for today is really understanding and recognizing that there's a much bigger picture to the universe than your brain has really, that it hasn't allowed you to see. And so your job, if you will, over the next few weeks is to look at how you attach consumerism to everything that you do. Because this relationship that you have with consumerism. So there's a difference between, we exist in a world that is founded, the current foundation of the physical world is on money, period. We all need to have it in order to survive in this world. It does not mean walk away from it. What they're saying is, in order to, so we're, right, 2025, we're creating a new foundation for human existence. So the original foundation of the financial system was to control and manipulate. Okay. But you, as a universal being, have the opportunity to create experiences with money that will shape and form whatever your intentions are. This is why it is so important to understand your relationships, your beliefs, right? So if your beliefs are consumerism based, you're going to be locked into your beliefs around money, period, whatever they are, whether they're great or whether they're not great. And when I say great, you're comfortable. You don't feel like you need for anything. Not great means you're uncomfortable. That's all that means. And so it's understanding that your beliefs in relation to consumerism have taken over the core essence of yourself, right? They've taken over and they've blocked all the truth from being able to get out. And so your job is not, it's not to fix the rest of the world. And this is why, again, these little ants, right? Running around, listening to what this person's saying, and we're trying to fix it. But it's not broken. You're not broken. Humans are self-healing and we're self-governing. Okay? We are sovereign beings. This is really important. And as such, any intention you choose to follow will become energy, and that energy will become the experiences that you have. Okay? And so your one and only mission is to recognize your relationships, because when you understand your relationships and how you view your connection to all the things in existence, you will understand your relationship with intention, right? Because whatever your intention is, you're feeding. That's energy. It's creating energy. The moment you create the intention, now energy's there. And that energy is going to create an experience for you. So look at your relationships with the concept of consumerism. Yeah. They're saying you're going to learn a lot about yourself, but more importantly, you're going to learn a lot about the world that we live in today. It's not the world that we're meant to live in. We are literally creating the future, but you cannot change and create something of value if you're just trying to use, it's like voting for one party or the other isn't going to change anything because we're still voting for one person or another to run it in the same way. But when you understand that you are a self-governing being who has the potential to create mass transformation through intention, as long as it's with purity, right? So here's the thing. There's so many people, well, I don't want this to happen and I want that. They're coming from anger. They're coming from judgment. They're coming from resentment. You can't change anything with those energies. You have to come from purity. Okay? I know this is a lot. We are going to go into this, all these concepts more deeply. And if you want to have the bigger conversations about these things, we do it in our private community, behind closed doors, specifically because it's a safe place. So I thank you for tuning in, and I look forward to part 21 next time. Thanks for now. Bye. Thank you for tuning in to the Authentic Human Podcast. I'm Michelle Vickers. If you're one of the select few who felt the depth and energy of universal wisdom in this episode, I invite you to join our private community, the Authentic Human Collective, where episodes are recorded live and the conversation and exploration go far beyond what the public is ready to hear. Find all the details at michellevickers.com.